one's all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's operations consultant, no other than Mr. Errol Allen.
Hey, Daniel. Thanks for having me today. It's good to be with you.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Errol, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Well, Errol Allen. Live in Houston, Texas, born and raised. I'm an operations consultant. My primary focus is helping clients to create efficient and effective business processes.
Mr. Errol Allen, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. So today, let's talk about CEO businesses owner must lead the push to document processes. Can you tell us about this topic, Mr. Errol?
Yeah, Daniel, I think it's paramount that the business owner, CEO, um, leads the push because without their commitment, it won't happen because process documentation is very, very tedious and it's not something that you're going to complete in a couple of weeks or even a couple of months. So it takes some long term commitment. And without the CEO, business owners' commitment, it just won't happen.
Certainly. Commitment, people. And Mr. Earl, how does CEO involvement impact the overall success of documenting business processes?
It, it has a big impact. Like I said, it will not happen. They have to understand the need for it, um, the impact of process documentation, and just the work that it's going to take to get it done. So everything is dependent upon leadership saying, hey, this is what we're going to do to make sure our business is running in the best manner possible.
So, Mr. Earl, in your experience, what happens when documentation is seen as a low level task instead of leadership priority?
It doesn't get done, or it's done half-heartedly, or something preempts it, right? Something else maybe in leadership's mind that they feel is more important or it's top of it's an emergency. We need to take care of this, then you never go back to it, right? So it's just important that leadership be committed to the long-term journey that's required for process documentation.
Let's talk about the business impact, Mr. Errol. How does clear process documentation directly affect scalability and growth?
In my opinion, Daniel, you cannot scale without having your processes documented. Um, when you're scaling, you're going to need to train people. So when you process documentation turns into training tools, right? Um, Sometimes scaling means you're going to open different locations. Process documentation allows you to take what you do in one location and go to another location, and the same thing is able to happen. And when you think about McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, that's why they're so good at what they do. Everything is documented on how to do things. Um, so, in my opinion, you cannot scale without your processes being documented.
What role does process documentation play in a business valuation, especially if an owner plans to sell the business?
Well, Daniel, usually when the owner wants to sell the business, that means you're ready to go and do something else. And the buyer in buying the business, they really don't want to be bothered with that owner, right? So if you can show where the business, as the owner, that the business can operate without you, then your business is worth more, right? Versus you having to hang around to show how things are done. They buy it and just keep rolling. So I believe you can ask more for your business when how you do things is well documented.
Totally agree with you, Mr. Errol. And how does strong process documentation impact customer satisfaction and service consistency?
Well, that's the key word right there, Daniel, is consistency, right? When processes are documented, that means actions are repeatable. You're making sure you're doing um, tasks are being completed in the same manner, the proper manner, which leads to customer satisfaction, especially your paying customer, which means you leads to customer retention. If they're satisfied with your product or service, more than likely they're going to continue to do business with you. And process documentation helps to achieve that goal.
So, Mr. Errol, as a founder of your company, what will be your vision and mission in EA consulting?
Well, I guess the mission is to reach as many businesses as I can to ensure um, that their business functions in the best manner that it can. That's the overall mission, is to help businesses create efficient and effective processes. The vision for the company is to one day become international, where I'm not only helping U.S. companies, but to reach companies worldwide. Really, that's one of the visions. And the other vision is to um, teach other people how to utilize my methodology, so that when one day when I'm no longer here, that the methodology doesn't die.
Mm, definitely. What are your struggles in the first year of building EA consulting?
Struggles. Getting getting visibility, Daniel, is
Mhm.
to be honest with you, getting visibility. Nobody knew who I was, um, so that was one of the big struggles, was um, getting in front of the right people.
So, how did you overcome your struggles, Mr. Errol?
Through writing, speaking, and in writing and speaking, then that led to people inviting me to do more speaking. And then through speaking, um, clients self-identified. Hey, I like what you talked about. I think my business can use your service. So just in um, through writing blog articles, newspaper articles, um, conducting workshops, clients just self-identify that way. Um, and then in having some relationships with Chamber of Commerce members. I was a member of one of the Chamber of Commerce's here in Houston, and there were business coaches there. So same thing, that hey, I think my clients can use um, your services. So those are a couple of ways that I was able to overcome it.
Interesting indeed, and congratulations for the success of your AI consulting. So, can you recommend a book that empowers you to become more resilient despite of those hardship?
Well, Daniel, I have one of my favorite books right here by me, because I knew we were going to talk about a book eventually, and it's this book, um, "The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People" by Stephen Covey. I've had this book probably since the '80s, I guess, and it's a principle-based book um, that I feel like would be helpful to anybody, not just somebody that's in business or looking to start a business. It's principle based. Begin with the end in mind. That's one of the principles. Um, um, Sharpen the saw. Always be working on your skill set. Um, there's a couple of others. Hold on, Dave. There's a couple of others
Yes.
um, that I had just looked at. Hold on one second. Um, Seek first to understand, then to be understood. That means ask questions and listen um, before you try to be understood. I think that's important in business, especially what I do. Um, I ask a lot of questions because, and one of my main questions is why. Um, so I just love the book. It's put first things first. It's just full of timeless principles. I'm a firm believer principles don't change. Um,
Yes.
fads and those kind of things come and go, but principles don't change. And so this has always been one of my all-time favorite books. That's why I still have it around after 40 years or so.
Mr. Errol, thank you so much for recommending Mr. Stephen Covey. So, how can leader motivate their team to embrace documenting process without making it feel like extra work?
I think it's important to think long term, right? Because if you can get the people to see the outcome, what's going to be the outcome? How is this going to help me as an employee in the long run? Why should I participate in this tedious work? And if you can get people to see the long term outcome, um, your work, your task will be more efficient. We might even be able to add some automation in there to take away some of the repetitive things that you have to do. Um, it's going to be better for you um, as employees from department to department. We're going to have better cross department communication. Our customers are going to be more satisfied with us as a business. So if you can just keep the employees focused on the long term benefits, and then just the fact that they're able to participate in looking at the processes, right? Because who knows better how things are done than the people that do them every day. So when they're allowed to participate, you have automatic buy-in. You don't have to try to sell them on here's how we want to do this process. They've participated in looking at how things are done, making suggestions for how to improve it. So morale becomes better because they've been allowed to participate. So if you can keep them focused on those things, I think you'll have a higher level of employee cooperation.
So, Mr. Errol, how do you suggest balancing thoroughness with simplicity when documenting workflows?
Say that again, Daniel, please.
How do you suggest balancing thoroughness with simplicity when documenting for workflows?
How do you balance thoroughness with simplicity? Right? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you be uh, simplistically thorough, right?
Yes.
It's important to be thorough. because it is so tedious. You don't want to have to go backwards. So it's important to be thorough, but it doesn't have to be complicated either. Right? It can be very, very simple. Um, so you be, since you said it that way, Dan, you be simplistically thorough. We want to look at this process. These are the people we need. What are the boundaries? And then what are the steps? You just keep doing that over and over and over. It's not rocket science. It's just tedious. It's just tedious. So you just be simplistically thorough. That's, in my opinion, that's what you do.
So, Mr. Errol, what will be your short-term and long-term goals as a EA consulting?
My short-term goals are to continue to build up my clientele, and like I mentioned before, help as many businesses as I can. And the long-term goal is to do this for as long as I can, because this is, I believe we all have at least one gift. Most of us have multiple gifts. And I think my ability to do this is a gift. So as long as I can utilize my gift, that's as long as I'll do this. So I'm just looking long term. I'm just looking to be able to do this as long as I can.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Errol. And what will be your advice for those people out there who want to be a coach like you? Or yes.
Focus on what you're good at, right? What is it that you're naturally good at, where people say, "Wow, you make that look so easy," right? Um, Focus on that. What are you naturally good at? Where do your gifts naturally lie, right? What is it that you love to do? And if you do what you love to do, then it's not like work. It's fun. What I do, I consider it fun. So focus on what you're naturally good at and what you love to do.
Thank you for your advice, Mr. Errol. And what metrics or indicators show that the process of documentation's efforts are paying off?
Ooh. Um, Better employee morale, better training experience for new employees, or even current employees, um, higher level of customer satisfaction, um, bottlenecks and delays start to disappear, just things run more efficiently. Everybody within the company uh, are served well because the processes have been built to take in mind that processes cross departments. So everybody would feel like they're being served well within the company. So there's a bunch of benefits to process document, internal benefits to process documentation.
Very well said, Mr. Errol. Very well said. So before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Food 101, and its fifth season, People Fifth Season, with Chef Alessandro, one of the specialty chef in one out of five-star hotel in downtown Toronto. Please do listen to our latest episode. We are reading our letter senders all over the world. So please do listen, Food 101, wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Errol, if a business starting from scratch, what's the first step they should take to lead process documentation?
See, it's even better when you're first starting, right? Um,
Yes.
you just simply, what task are we doing within this business, right? And then how are we doing these tasks now? It's even more critical when you're first starting, because the goal of most businesses is to grow. And as you start to grow, you'll need to tweak your processes, right, to handle that growth. So you don't have to start from scratch. You just tweak what you already have to take into consideration that growth. So I encourage new businesses to document how you're doing what you're doing. It's very, very important to do it right out of the box, so that because you're going to hire employees one day and you want them to be able to get a good training experience. Most small business, when they first start, you have people that are wearing multiple hats, right? And as the business starts to grow, you have to hand off some of those hats. So if you've already documented your processes, it becomes easy to give a hat to somebody. You know what I mean, Dave?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Mr. Errol Allen, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, EA Consulting?
For sure, Daniel. Visit my website at documentyourprocesses.com, or reach out to me at Errol@ErrolAllenConsulting.com, um, or just schedule a consultation. I'll be glad to talk to you.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Errol Allen because if you support him, more and more and more consulting episode to come. So, Mr. Errol, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, Daniel. Thanks for having me on your show today. Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.